Welcome to our Yurtiful Life podcast. In today's episode, we will be discussing how we help our children navigate tough questions.
Hey there, Yurties!
Thanks for joining us today. For anyone new here, I'm Keegan.
And I'm Sarah. We've been living a minimal off-grid lifestyle for over 10 years now.
We have a large family and lots of experiences to share.
So let's get to it. Welcome to
Our Yurtiful Life.
So today we are going to be discussing when our children must answer and how do we help our children navigate the tough questions of life. So we want to start out with a disclaimer. We are still learning this ourselves.
Yeah, we are in no way professionals. We're not giving professional advice. We understand that we have shortcomings. This is just our best answer and our opinions at this time in life.
And it's subject to change as we learn, grow, and continue on our own journey. The biggest thing I think we are still learning and we are trying to teach our children is that brevity is sanity. You do not always need to defend yourself, and you can still answer in kindness, but be brief. You do not always need to give a detailed explanation. Sometimes a short, simple answer is the best.
Another way this is phrased is having boundaries or establishing and enforcing boundaries with others. Doesn't mean you have to be mean, but kindness should have boundaries and for your own sake, your own sanity, and your own preservation of life.
And we also strive to teach our children to always be honest. We do not try to hide the truth. We do not try to dodge from hard questions. We do answer them, but we want to be honest, but yet kind and respectful and brief in our answers and not invite further trouble if someone is looking for an argument or looking for a fight.
Right. We believe Scripture, as found in the Bible, is the most important thing and the way a life should run. And honesty is important, but also wisdom. Wisdom is knowing when to say something, when not, whether it's correct or honest or not. When should that be presented, and to who should it be presented, and in what way? So these are all things we're trying to learn ourselves and also teach our children.
We are very open and honest with our children, and we clearly try to teach our children what we personally believe, why we believe what we believe. We teach them our background, where we came from, what we were taught to believe, what we used to believe, and what has changed with our beliefs, and also what other people think. And this is not just religiously or according to our biblical beliefs. This goes for everything. There are ways of life or patterns that may have been ingrained in us in our childhood, different things, prejudices that may have been taught to us that we as adults are having to rework and unlearn. And so we are honest with our children that these are our struggles. This is where we came from and what we see as a better path and why. And we try to be very honest and clearly teach these things to our children.
And our why we do this is our hope is when our children become older and start making their own decisions truly on their own, that they have this basic framework to work off of that wasn't just taught that this is the only way, period. There's nothing else out there. So that when they actually run into other things, they can evaluate it clearly and to choose for themselves if it's a wise path or not, rather than not know what to do because they never been confronted with something outside of what they were taught, or rather than just fully rejecting it without actually looking into it because it's just different or strange.
Now, I want to be clear here. We're not saying we just sit down with our children and drill them. Okay, this is what I used to believe, and this is now. And these are things that happen day to day in life.
Natural.
These are life, natural conversations. If we slip up and we say something that we shouldn't have said, when we apologize to the children, we then have the opportunity to go a step further and explain maybe why we made that mistake and why the reasoning behind it, but then also how we are going to do better in the future. And we use these opportunities as teaching opportunities rather than glazing over them. And I think that is where a lot of this discussion takes place around the dinner table, at bedtime. A lot of these discussions happen. And we really just take time to invest in our children and discussing with them so that they are better prepared for life. But we're not just setting aside lessons in that sense of like
No.
drilling these things into our kids.
Children are naturally curious. Humans, well, they'll always ask questions when they're young, especially. So we just attempt to, when we answer the question, we not only give our own opinion or where we're at, what we think is truth right now, but also express if we used to have a different view, what that view was, or if we're aware of other people's views, we express to them, but other people might believe this or believe that. So they're aware there's more than one option to that question.
And we really strive to teach our children to think for themselves. We challenge, especially the older children, to think for themselves. And when they come to us with a question of, well, what do you believe on this? May give them the answer, but we also challenge them. Like, what do you think? How would you think through this? Our two oldest are almost 9 and 10, and they really have some good minds that they have a lot of good questions. And we teach our children to ask questions. What makes sense in this situation? And why do I believe this?
At the end of the day, we don't want our children just regurgitating information or saying the party line, whatever that might be. We want them to actually be self thinking creatures that are able to plan and strategize and look into the future and try to be wise and plan from what the information they have on hand.
We want them to realize and understand that if they believe something just because dad and mom say so, then it isn't their belief. They're just parroting something else. So we truly try to challenge, especially our older children. Can they show us why they believe what they believe? And in so doing, I think it really has helped challenge some of our own beliefs
Mm-hmm.
and perspectives and caused us to question things. And so it has really been a whole growing experience for the family.
Right. A beautiful thing about a children's their innocence or their open mind, they're not preconceived in certain ways that we might be as adults that we don't even realize. So when they start poking holes in the answer we gave, we can go, wait a second, you're right. We have some blind spots here. There's something we didn't think about that you just brought to the table.
So our children are still very young, but we do believe in beginning training early on. And the biggest part of that is teaching our children to ask questions, being okay with them asking questions and encouraging it.
Teaching children how to research and to critically think within the mediums of online, books, libraries, and interviewing and asking questions of other adults.
So this takes obviously different forms depending on a child's age. And when our children ask questions, if we don't know the answer or we don't have a good answer, we're honest with them and we go with them and show them how. How do you find the answer? When they ask us on a topic of politics or religion, things that they hear other adults talking about, we will often let's go online. Let's see what other beliefs are so you are aware. Let's look up if we have books on the subject or go to the library. Or even we've encouraged them to ask other adults about their beliefs. And this happened very recently. One of our children said, "Did you know so and so doesn't believe this?" And as of course, we had been aware of that. But we asked them, "How did you handle that?" And they said, "Well, we disagreed." And this was with an adult. They very wisely said, when the adult pushed back, "Well, why do you believe that?" They just said, "Well, everyone has different beliefs on some topics, and we'll agree to disagree on this." And when my child told me that, my heart just like swelled. I said, "Well, what did the adults say?" And they just said, "You're right. That's a good answer." And then they stopped talking about it. So, they don't always have to agree, but our children are learning to stand up and to ask questions and to try to figure out why other people have the perspectives they have.
So, a big part of this training and something we're trying to train ourselves is we don't need to be ashamed. Training our children to not be ashamed. It's okay to not have an answer for every question you come across. It's okay to be honest that you actually don't know the answer to something. It's okay to tell people that you do not want to answer their questions, and it's okay to tell people that you are still learning.
It is very important. And again, as Keegan said, this is something he and I still struggle with. To admit you don't know everything is okay. And we are not the end all be all of knowledge. And we should not expect our children to be the same. We should not expect them to parrot everything we say. Just because we hold a belief does not mean that our children will. And we need to love and respect them for difference of opinions. And that's okay. So, really, we have been teaching our children to be proud of who they are and the knowledge they have. But also, don't be ashamed. And it's not wrong to say, I really don't have an answer for that right now. I really don't know what I feel about that topic. Let me research and get back to you. Let me think about it some more and talk later. That is a perfectly okay and acceptable answer. And it takes a lot of strength of character to be able to do that.
And this whole process is an ongoing process. This isn't just to pick it up and then not do it again for a while and then do it again later. This is an everyday ongoing thing.
We are constantly trying to foster open dialogue with our children, pull them aside. Hey, how's it going? Do you have any questions? Where are you at? Hey, what did you do? Oh, why did you do that? What are your thoughts on it? We're always trying to connect with our kids and teach them to be thinkers.
No subject is off limits, and we really do mean this. No subject is off limits. If our child brings a subject to us, we don't just shut it down or say, well, we're not going to talk about that. We may, if we don't feel it's appropriate, say, let's talk about this later, or remind me later in privacy we can talk about this. But we try not to ever just completely shut down a topic.
We are very honest with our kids and we want to teach our children rather than hide things from them. Subjects that most people may consider taboo or off limits for younger children. We do, if the child brings it up, have those discussions, but we try to do so in terms that are age appropriate, easy to understand, and not glaze over the harsh realities of life
Yep.
when our children come across those
From
things.
our perspective, if the child's old enough to be thinking about it and they've chosen to talk to you about it, they're already old enough to discuss it. They're already thinking about it. So if you just shut it down, they're going to keep thinking about it. They're just going to derive their own answers from their own head or some other source that you're unaware of.
So we may be uncomfortable with questions that our children bring us, but we do try to model what we teach. We try to not be ashamed or embarrassed if they ask us embarrassing questions that kids sometimes do, but instead we try to take it in stride. And if we don't have an answer, tell them, let me think about this and get back to you, or let me research this with you and let's come up with an answer together. And that takes vulnerability and honesty. But at this point in life, this is the path that we feel led to teach our kids. And we really hope it is helpful to you and maybe give you a few ideas of perspective around teaching your children how to answer when hard questions come up.
Right. We hope that the outcome of all this obviously has not been tried and true for us yet. Our children are still young, but we hope the outcome of this kind of training is that we'll have healthy adults who are not afraid to ask questions, know how to find answers to those questions that they might have, and don't consider any subject completely taboo, but are willing to explore it to know what they need to know, whether it's right or wrong, or whatever that might be, so they can be a healthier, more well-rounded adult.
Really, I think my biggest hope and desire is that our children learn to think for themselves and to know what they believe and why they believe what they believe, and to be okay with challenging your perspectives, challenging your beliefs, breaking things down, studying it, and but truly believing what you're saying. Don't just say something and not have conviction behind it.
Yep.
And I think by having these discussions, teaching your children to think critically and to ask questions and to answer honestly really will help to form children who are beneficial to society and have a strong character in and of themselves.
Make a more confident adult who knows why they do what they do and they pursue what they truly love.
Well, it's about time to wrap this up.
Please like, share, subscribe, and join our email list.
And don't forget, go out
Dream big
and discover your own Yurtiful life.